Hello and welcome to episode 3 on my journey to Dublin. This is where I do a vlog of how my training has been going, what's went well, what hasn't went so well, and just sort of my thoughts and musings throughout the journey as well. The life of an endurance runner, coach, and discus thrower maybe now as well. But maybe a bit more on that later. But yeah, this week, this is, what are we now? I'm looking here at my spreadsheet behind the screen, so I do apologise if I'm looking away from the camera. But yeah, week 10, or 10 weeks to go to Dublin Marathon. So it's week 9 or 10 of my plan. I think it was a 20-week plan that I'd done. So it's been a long old slog to get to where I'm at the moment. Fitness at the end of the last episode, I was saying how good I felt. And this week, there was a bit of a humbling. There was one of the runs where I just sort of thought, you know what? It hasn't exactly all went to plan. But we'll come back to that one as well. So what did this week? This week started off Monday. I took my rest day. I always like to rest on a Monday, but I may change that going forward, because what I found this week was everything was very, very top heavy towards the end of the week. Tuesday, I just didn't have the time. Now, this is crazy. I was actually off work, off my main job last week, and turns out I had less time than I normally do. I think whenever you're sort of busy, you make time to make time. You have to sort of fit things in, but when you've got a wee bit too much time in your hands, you tend to do a wee bit more extra things. But yeah, started the week off. I was meant to do a couple of runs, a double run day, but I only ended up getting one run done, which was 6.5 miles. 60-minute easy run, nothing spectacular to write home about. Heart rate was under control, nice known route, just a standard wee run, fairly straightforward. The next day, which was Wednesday, now this was probably a real good run. This was one of those runs where everything clicked, everything felt good, pace felt good, effort felt good. So it was a 14-mile long run at a fairly easy pace, is what the plan said. And I laced up, went out, and sort of went round in the flux of the first mile. It was around the sort of 7:50, 7:55 pace. And I was like, well, you know, the heart rate's feeling okay. We'll just keep going on, I guess, here until the heart rate sort of, the effort doesn't feel as easy anymore. But, you know, it felt like that there. Felt fairly good for about 10 miles. Now, the route that I had chosen, the first 3-4 miles were fairly flat. And then it started to climb uphill. The pace did drop off a little bit. It dropped from the 7:50s down to around the 8s. And at times maybe 8:05s as I was climbing up some of the hills. It was just steady uphill. And whenever I hit the sort of 10-mile mark, I knew it was 4 miles pretty much downhill back to where I started. So I thought, you know what, let's pick up the pace and see how it feels. And it ended up being a 14-mile run at 7:52 average, which is, I suppose, very, very close to what I'm hoping to run the marathon at. Last 4 miles didn't feel like they were overly hard. The effort wasn't majorly different from what I was doing. I just had to pick it up a little bit. If you look at the stats, the cadence was good. The heart rate was fine. And I say it was ridiculously tough in the middle in terms of the elevation. But that was a real good run, a real good confidence boosting run as well, to know that, do you know what, I can run sort of 14 miles midweek at that pace. The next day, Thursday, 60 minutes easy run. And this is where easy means easy. And I suppose that I definitely do sort of differentiate between that there now. On the Tuesday, the easy run, I ended up averaging 8:59 pace. On the Thursday, the average pace was 9:46. Perhaps that 14-mile run took a bit more out of me than I thought. But because I was running the effort on the Thursday, I just let the pace drop off and let the effort go. It did turn out to be a 10k run in just over the hour, 60 minutes and 50 seconds, just because I wanted to round it up a little bit. Couldn't finish on 66.1 miles, could I? The next day, I had planned to do a bit of tempo work, but I just didn't feel it. The weather was absolutely shocking. It was wet, it was windy, it was cold in Northern Ireland. It just wasn't conducive to good tempo running. So I did 10 miles, easy paced. And it was one of those runs that I probably put off most of the day as well. I sort of was up early. I could have done it early, could have done it at lunchtime. I ended up doing it sort of late afternoon, early evening, just before I started work, sports massaging. And I just ticked it off, and I was planning just to do 4 or 5 miles at that sort of easier pace, and ended up just sort of, I'll just keep going, just keep going. And I picked sort of out and back routes that allowed me to get a little bit of extra mileage in, and it turned out I ended up doing the 10 miles anyway. So that was a good run. Nothing overly spectacular, just a good aerobic building run. 10 miles, 8:30 pace average. Leads me on to Saturday. Saturday I woke up and thought, right, well, I haven't done that tempo session yet. It is one of the key sessions for this week. I'm going to have to get it done. Again, the weather was pants, and I just thought, right, the only way I'm going to get this done is go to the treadmill. So booked myself into the local leisure centre, got onto the treadmill, programmed it in 7 by 1 mile with a 60-second recovery. So I did a little bit of a warm-up. I started at 7:30 pace, and every mile I picked up the pace. So I sped it up by 0.1 mile per hour, which brought the average pace down by 5 seconds, 6 seconds usually. So it started at 7:30s and finished at 6:55s, each mile getting progressively harder and progressively faster. If you look at my Strava, you can see a lovely, lovely chart of the heart rate just climbing, or that way, depends which way you look at the camera, climbing. But yeah, it was a good run, really enjoyed it. Enjoyed being inside in the heat, and didn't do anything spectacular or anything different in terms of watching anything. It was just watching the screen, the time and the pace. Really controlled run. Finished up doing about 9.5 miles that day, just once you added in the warm-up, cool down, and a little bit of recovery. Which leads me on to Sunday's run. Sunday's run was a bit more humbling. So everything had been going really well this week. On Sunday, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. I just didn't feel the urge to run for once. I was planning to do a 21-mile long run. I couldn't get a route in my head that I felt that I wanted to do. I was going to do out and backs. I was going to do loops. I was going to do point to point. And my head was just all over the place in terms of finding something that I was going to be comfortable with. In the end, I decided I would do sort of 3 by 10k loops. So I have specific 10k loops that I do, sort of going out different directions from the town here. So I thought, well, I'll do all 3 of those and then add in a 5k loop, bring me up to the sort of 21 miles. But I ended up not doing that. I ended up going out to one road and running longer and going round and adding different wee roads in, and just nothing was really clicking. The legs felt dead. The legs felt heavy. At about 10 miles, I was back in Marfelt, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I just call it a day and just stop this run. And then I thought, no, I'll run and I'll get myself up to the half marathon at least. So I ran out a different road, and I knew that I could turn it 1.5 miles. And okay, right, I sort of managed to get to that point now. I just kept going. I ended up turning back and got to 17 point something miles that day. And like, you know what, the heart rate was fine. The heart rate was really controlled. Average heart rate was sitting around 150. Weller was fine. But the legs they just didn't have that oomph in them. They didn't have any zip. They didn't have any bounce. They just felt a wee bit meh. So I looked back and I sort of thought, reflected on what's happened. So the last 3-4 weeks I've had big miles. I have done a 21-mile long run, a 19.5-mile long run, 18-mile long run. So like, it probably should have been a recovery week. I probably should have dropped the miles down. Overall mileage, 55, 65, 66, 67. So yeah, I think just the load finally got to me on Sunday. The tempo on the Saturday probably added to that there as well. Um, I was probably underfed from the day before, underhydrated for sure. So a big culmination of things that sort of just made the run feel uncomfortable. But realistically, I still got 17.2 miles done. I had a 4 mile walk home, so still managed to get 21 miles done that day. I came home, got showered, got changed, and did I beat myself up about it? No, I didn't. Because looking back, I still got a 63 mile running week done, 67 if you want to include that little bit of a walk as well. Um, I get a good quality midweek long run in, I get good quality tempo in, and I get 17 miles done on stupidly tired legs, underfed, underhydrated as well. So yeah, I could sit here and beat myself up, but you know, as I say to a lot of the runners that I coach, one run doesn't define you, whether that's a good run or a bad run. And I take heed of that advice myself, where we go again this week. We just scratch it, we don't mark it off, it's done, it's dusted. Overall, on the plan, we've done 569.05 miles out of a projected 567, so we're pretty much bang on our mileage. I'm still feeling good. No, touch wood, injuries, niggles, fatigue, over fatigue or anything like that. I say bar that run on the Sunday, but I'm fine. I'm over it now. The following week, or the week that I'm in now, it does look like another 67 mile week, but no major long runs. I think we're sort of spreading the runs out a little bit more this time, and then we're going to start sharpening up a lot more, start adding that speed into it, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting some good fast intervals back into the legs, because it's been a lot of endurance aerobic building. So I'm really looking forward to getting sort of back into sort of 5k paces and 10k pace running done as well. Can't wait to report that. So I mentioned earlier in the video here about endurance runner and discus thrower. So I'll finish with this here for you guys. Over the summer, I've been working as an athletics coach for Star Trek with Athletics NI. Multi-event, encouraging junior athletes to not just become runners, but also explore throws, jumps, speed, and endurance. So the whole plethora of athletics disciplines. Pushing them out of their comfort zones, asking them to do events that they've never done before, or they maybe haven't been comfortable with, and watching them all really enjoy it. And as part of that there, I said, there's competitions happening. Get yourself out there and go and enter them. And I thought it would be very contradictory of me to be doing this to the kids, saying this to the kids, if I don't go and do it myself too. So I entered a competition, entered the Lagan Valley Fab 5 competition. I entered the hammer, as well as the discus. Now, I've had a couple of discus sessions myself, not particularly great at it, considering I have to throw 2 kg, but fairly comfortable, fairly confident I could get it out of the cage. Hammer, different story. Never actually picked up the 7.2 kg hammer before. Have coached it, have critiqued others on it, but to actually step in the cage yourself and throw it. Number one, it's very heavy, which I suppose is why most people who do it are big, strong people. But yeah, I gave it a go, and I got it out of the cage on my practice goes, and got it out of the cage once in actual competition. I won't be setting the world alight with regards to that there. I managed to not even break 10 meters. It was 9.95 or 9.97 meters I threw it, but got it out of the cage, got a place on the podium effectively as well, and quite happy with that there, pushing myself out of the comfort zone. But then moving on to the discus. Now this is an event that I think I like, that I really actually do like. Looking at some of the throwers that were competing, I don't think you need to be big and strong to do it. I think there's an element of strength, but there's a lot more to do with the technique on it. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time over the next few weeks and months and potentially work on my discus throwing technique. I did do a wee video earlier this year with regards to that there, but my son helped record it, so it wasn't overly good. So might get some more content out with regards to that there, and see if we can get the journey going, or journal the journey on that there as well, to see if we can be. My longest throw was 14.45 meters, and that was just a static throw. I know myself, I've made a couple of fundamental errors, things that I know myself that I'm coaching, but sort of reflected back on, I think the occasion got to me a little bit in the cage, and I just wasn't relaxed enough. I was trying to force the throw instead of just relaxing into it and allowing the technique to work, as opposed to trying to throw it hard and heavy. But yeah, we'll come back to that there in future videos, hopefully. So guys, look, I'll wrap that up now. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. If you do have any questions with regards to your own coaching, or if you're planning to do Dublin, you have any questions on it, please do, I was going to say send me a message, but don't send me a message, put it into the comments, because this is YouTube and not Facebook. I'm used to doing Facebook videos. But guys, yeah, that'll be me. I'll wrap this one up, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.